Coming up on Let's Get to the Points.
Tonight we're talking about things that are very scary, like devaluations, credit card denials.
See how scary she is?
I'm slashing those point values.
Do you regret dumping all your points?
Absolutely, because
We have something very scary. And my personal opinion, it's the scariest thing on this list.
And now, let's get to the points. She loves traveling luxuriously for a fraction of the cost. It's Serena. He embraces every travel experience, and he proves adventure is found everywhere. It's Miguel. She teaches you and your family to travel on a budget while indulging in a little bit of occasional luxury. It's Nicole. And he loves using his points to fly some of the world's best airlines in first class. It's Mitch Shannon.
Hi there. Thank you for joining us on Let's Get to the Points video audio podcast, where we bring you the very best in tips and tricks in the world of miles, points, and travel. I'm Mitch Shannon, joined by my beautiful co-hosts who love traveling the world with their families using their credit card points and miles. But you're saying, Mitch, I can't see these beautiful co-hosts and I can't see you. That's right, because tonight we're going to do things a little bit different. We haven't seen each other's Halloween costumes yet because it is that time of the year. Happy Halloween. This is our scary travel things about points and miles edition episode. So gang, are you ready to reveal your scary costumes?
Yes. Happy Halloween, people.
Oh dear, Nicole, that's scary. Okay, on the count of three, turn your cameras on. Are you ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Here we go. Oh, this is so much fun.
I have no idea what Miguel is.
Wow, he's a ramper. That's what he is.
Wait, what do you call this? What do you
A ramper.
A ramper.
I prefer ramp agent.
Oh my gosh, you even got one of those shirts.
On the line, Miguel, on the line, on the line. Get it on the line.
Mitch, TSA is terrifying.
You look like a scary TSA agent. Your hair is the best part.
You like that?
This is Mitch with hair.
But this is the best part, my gloves, right?
Right?
Okay, Nicole, you don't even have a face.
I'm the scariest thing ever. I'm a devaluation.
A devaluation.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Okay, guess what I am? I'm still travel themed. I am one of the ghosts at the Grand Hyatt Taipei who will haunt you when you stay there. This is very scary to me. I'm not staying there ever. This is why I'm waiting for the Park Hyatt to open in Taiwan. You're not going to catch me there because that's scary. So I'm the one who flooded your bathroom, Miguel, when you stayed at the Grand Hyatt Taipei.
Ooh, that was weird.
Sometimes you'll hear chains clanging in the hallway.
I don't even know how people are going to take us serious today.
All right, we got to hurry up. I got mandatory overtime.
Okay, you guys ready to do it? Let's get to the points. Okay, tonight we're talking about things that are very scary, like we're not scary enough in the points and miles world. Stuff like devaluations, credit card denials, how to avoid getting shut down by a bank, and a couple of other scary surprises too. So we're gonna get started with Serena tonight, the scary Grand Hyatt Taipei ghost.
So first we're going to talk about something very, very scary. Devaluations. Exactly what Nicole is. See how scary she is?
I'm slashing those point values.
I see metal, Nicole. I see metal.
I'm gonna haunt you away with my chains. I didn't know you had a knife. Okay, let's define what a devaluation is first. This is when a program increases the points required for an award booking, and the points are worth less than they were before. An award booking that you make will now require more points than what they used to, and that is a devaluation. So sometimes devaluations happen overnight with no warning, like what Virgin did for ANA award bookings. And then they're really sad because they leave you sad and scrambling. Devaluations are unpredictable and you never know when they will come. Devaluations are unavoidable, but there are things that you can do to protect your points and miles. You can use transferable points currencies. And when you use currencies like this, which are flexible, you can then have different ways to use them if a devaluation happens. Chase, American Express, Citi, Capital One, and Bilt are all flexible currencies, and they have multiple airline and hotel partners. This is the most foolproof way to protect yourself against devaluations. Another way is to diversify across different points and miles currencies. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, so try to avoid stockpiling in one single program. Airline credit card welcome offers can be very, very tempting, just like we saw with the 100,000 bonus points that Air Canada Aeroplan was offering with their card, but you want to make sure that you have an immediate use in mind before opening a card. And if one program that you're accumulating miles for decides to devalue, if you're diversified, you will have other options with other programs. But at the same time, you don't want to have different point balances with not enough in each to redeem anything. So you'll want to be strategic and stick to the programs that you are likely to use. Another tip is to book now and worry later. Lock in your airfare and hotel bookings. If a program has free cancellation, there's no harm in booking now if you have the points. And this goes for all the US programs, which don't have a cancellation fee. Hyatt devalues some of their hotels every March and publishes a list. You want to review this list and make your Hyatt bookings ahead of time in order to plan ahead. And our last tip is to earn and burn. There's no reward for amassing a huge stash of points and miles. Points and miles are not a good long-term investment. You don't want to treat your points balances like a retirement account. It's not something that will grow over time. Just remember that points and miles will lose value over time, so try not to save them for a long period of time.
My worst experience with devaluations is when I thought I was being smart and transferred all of my Citi points during a transfer bonus over to Virgin Atlantic because there was numerous ways for me to redeem these points. But they've adopted a new award chart, which leaves me with a bunch of points that I don't know, how to use anymore because a lot of those sweet spots that I thought I could use are maybe not as feasible anymore. We'll see what I end up doing with these points, but it's not always the best move if you don't have an immediate plan to redeem these points because devaluations could come at any point with or without announcement. Virgin Atlantic was generous enough to give us 30 days notice or so. Or if there's no availability within the time frame, then it does no good. So I just hope that Virgin has another promotion for these Virgin voyages because that's probably my saving grace for these Virgin points. I don't really know what else to do with these anymore.
Miguel, I have a question.
Send the question this way.
Do you regret dumping all your Citi points into Virgin?
Absolutely. Because what good is I have like 255,000 Virgin points, but I have no real good use of them in the meantime. And there's been other promotions that I could have used those Citi points for, but now they're stuck there. So very scary.
Like 250,000 is scarier than this.
Is that how much you have stuck in Virgin?
Absolutely not. I think I have about 120 is what I transferred, and it is 160. But this is, you guys remember what I used to look.
Nicole, please take off that mask, please.
Yeah, we can't.
Thank you for playing along, but
your audio is terrible.
Yeah,
we need better audio from you.
Oh, actually, sorry. Put that back on.
Well, then, that's why you have 250,000 points stuck over there. This is what I look like before the deval. This is what I look like after. I don't know if I regret. It's somewhere inside of me, I feel like there's going to be a great deal coming up and I'm going to have lots of use for those points. Just stay tuned, I hope.
Nicole, do you regret transferring those points?
Not yet. I don't have 250 there. I have about 120,000, and I think I'll be able to find some use for them within a year or so.
Okay, and what were both of your intentions when you did transfer them? I know there was a bonus at the time, so that was very enticing, but what were you planning to redeem it for?
I was planning to redeem it for ANA the room. I was hoping to get flights either to or from Japan for our winter trip.
Same for me. My main one was ANA business class, and then my second option was Delta One, but those got devalued as well. So prior to the devaluation, you could book between US and Europe for 50,000 points in Delta One business class. But now they increased the taxes on that. So now the taxes leaving the US going to Europe is $1,000, which does not make sense anymore. Fortunately, there is a silver lining, I guess. You could still book for 50,000 points if you're leaving Europe to go to the US, and the taxes are only about $200 to $300. So I might still be able to use that one. So we'll see if that helps me on my trip to Europe next year.
I should add that using Virgin to book ANA business class from the West Coast, at least, is actually not bad still. I think it's, 58,000 in business, maybe 80 something thousand in first. And so I don't think it's a bad deal still if you were to use Virgin for ANA. From the West Coast, at least. I don't know how much it is from the worst coast.
The least coast?
Okay.
The less coast?
I see a deval coming your way.
So do you guys have any plans on what to do with these Virgin points? Like, is there anything to, now that you know the devaluation, what's your backup plan? Or did you even have one? Or what are you thinking?
My backup plan is still the same as my original plan. I'm still hoping to book for ANA or Delta One, but only on the return coming back from Europe because those taxes are manageable. Going to Europe, there's no way I'm going to pay $1,000 in surcharges and fees. And then as a last resort, I'm going to hope to book for Virgin voyages for the cruise, but then I don't need that many points, so I might have to invite somebody else to come along and burn those points.
You, me, James, Liz, sounds like a party.
And no positioning for you, right? So they leave out of Miami or
Yes.
or Orlando or something?
Miami.
And you, Nicole, what's your plan?
I'm planning to do whatever Miguel does because that's how I ended up in this situation. I just copied Miguel. So Miguel, when you find the deal, send it over.
I've also been searching for the Air New Zealand because you could fly between the US and New Zealand on Air New Zealand business class for, I think, 62,500 points. So that's not a bad redemption at all. It's just that the availability that I found, it's always close in, which means in the next couple of weeks. And I need a book for like next year. So we'll see if that one turns out.
What would you guys do if you had 250,000 Virgin points? How would you plan to spend them? Let us know in the comments.
The next scary thing, credit card denials and what to do about it. What is your next step when you get denied for a credit card? And I promise, if you're in this hobby long enough, it is going to happen. So don't think this will not be you, because it eventually will be. First is you can do a reconsideration call. And all you have to do is Google the bank and reconsideration phone number, and that will give you the phone number to call. What you're going to ask them is if they could take another look at your application and reconsider you. Number two is wait about 3 to 6 months and apply for the card again. Sometimes it takes a few months for your credit report to just sit still for a little bit. And then in a few months, if you apply again, you might be able to get approved. The next tip is to apply for a credit card from a different bank. Just because one bank denies you, it doesn't mean they are all going to. If you got a denial from one bank, try another one. You can also hold off on applying for cards. Maybe give it a rest, 3 to 6 months, come back later when you are ready. And then lastly, you might want to open a checking or savings account with that issuing bank. Sometimes the banks want to know that you have an existing relationship with them. That might help, like having a Bank of America checking account or a savings account, like having a Chase business checking account. A lot of times that can help with your credit card approvals. What do you guys think?
So I thought I was a unicorn case. Chase would never deny me for a credit card, because I'm that Hyatt girl. Mm-hmm. But I was wrong. Serena's right. If you're in this game, eventually you will get denied for a card. It's going to hurt your feelings and your ego is going to be crushed. But in about 2 or 3 months, you'll get over it and you'll apply again.
So Nicole, what did you apply for that you got denied?
Another ink card.
Her 10th ink card.
Oh,
Is it 10?
They're getting more and more tough with those ink cards. I think we're going to see lots and lots of denials.
I did close 2 of the cards. I think I'm going to give it another 60 days before trying to reapply.
Yeah, those banks, they are smart. I did a reconsideration call with my mom on the phone with Chase, and they could actually tell that she was opening cards just for the bonus and she stopped spending on them. So they would not overturn this recent application.
The gentleman I spoke to was really cheeky about the application. I was told that in 7 to 10 business days, I would get a response. I was just calling to find out if you guys needed any additional information that will help in this decision making. And the gentleman was like, oh, I already have an answer for you. I was like, oh.
Ooh.
He was like, we're not giving you this card. I was like, sir, where's your professionalism?
Did you really say that?
No. But it was like he was talking to a friend from college. And I was like, is there any information I could provide that would have you reconsider this card? He goes, we realize that you have a lot of credit with Chase. And at this time, we're not willing to extend you anymore. I cried a little bit, but I'm going to be okay. I have a couple of ink cards and I have a problem with letting go. And so I've decided to close a few of them, give Chase a little rest for now. Bank of Hawaii, here I come.
When you apply, you might get a message that says, we're going to send you a letter about this decision, but you could call before you get that letter. And sometimes it's just about identity verification, or maybe they just need additional information, but you don't have to be scared about that. You could just call, ask them if you could talk to somebody to help you understand that decision, and maybe you could get approved. You don't want to tell them that you just want to sign a bonus. It's probably helpful if you tell them why you want this card, if there's specific perks about this card that you're looking forward to getting. For example, if you're getting an airline card, you might want to say, I really want to get this card because I travel on this airline and I would really benefit from the perks. You don't want to say, I just want to get the bonus, which a lot of us really, that's all we want. That's probably helpful for the reconsideration call.
Serena, I couldn't agree more with you on your point about having a relationship with a bank, because I think that is so important, because I think that's kind of what happened to me recently. So got a little greedy. I went and I applied for the new Citi Strata card because, yeah, I want 70,000 Citi points. Who wouldn't, right? Got denied. So I didn't even try to recon that, because after listening to your story about where you called in, get a reconsideration, I just thought, nah, you know what? I'm going to let this one go. I'm going to throw it back in, but I got to feel good about myself. I need an approval, right? The Alaska Airlines Visa Signature Business Card. Why not go for that? Because I have a relationship with Bank of America, and I've heard that if you have a relationship with them, like a checking account or something like that, they have more favorable odds of you getting approved. We have this checking account. We've had this probably, I want to say 15 years that we've had with Bank of America. So we keep about, a couple $1,000s in there just because. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to go for it and see what happens. So I went and I applied for the Alaska Airlines Visa Signature Business Card. Sure enough, I clicked through. Get approved. Big credit line with Bank of America. And I was just so excited in it. Kind of took a little bit of that sadness away getting approved. But I definitely agree with your point. You got to have a relationship with these banks if you're going to want to constantly get approved with them.
Mitch, since you already have a relationship with them, you could apply for a second business card using your EIN number. That might be a little greedy, but...
Yeah, I think my greed got checked a little bit by getting the denial with the Citi Strata card. So yeah, I don't know if I want to go for that second one or not.
Yeah, and that is the reason why I told my player 3, my daughter, to open a checking account with Chase. So she opened a college checking account, and she was actually targeted and pre-approved for a Chase Sapphire Reserve, which I was surprised, because the Reserve has I believe it's a $10,000 minimum for your credit limit. I don't think we're going to get it, because $550 for her for an annual fee, I think, is a little bit too much. In the next couple months, I'll probably see if I can refer her to a Chase Sapphire Preferred card. And if she was pre-approved for the Reserve, then I have high chances of her getting approved for the Preferred card. So that's probably the card that I'm going to tell her to get. And right now they do have an elevated offer of the 60,000 points, which is a standard offer. But aside from that, you get an additional $300 annual travel credit for the Chase Sapphire Preferred. That entire welcome offer is worth at least $1,000 worth of travel. So that is a pretty good offer right now. And we've said it before, and I'll say it again, that the Chase Sapphire Preferred is one of the best starter cards if you're getting involved with this hobby.
You could check out our website for all our credit card links. We have a credit card link on the navigation bar, and on the featured page is the Chase Sapphire Preferred if you're interested in that. And at the top, you'll also see any offers for elevated bonuses that are going on right now as well. Okay, next up, we have something very scary. And my personal opinion, it's the scariest thing on this list. Shutdowns and how to avoid them. So a shutdown is when a bank decides to close all your accounts for some reason that they decide, and most often it's not reversible. And they will decide this based on something they think is wrong with what you were doing. So let's go over how to avoid things like this. Okay, here are some tips to avoid a shutdown. Don't ever refer yourself to a credit card. You'll get in big trouble. You want to try to make small monthly charges to your credit card to keep the account open and active. If your credit card is sitting around dormant for many months, the bank might be proactive and take the initiative to close your account for you. So if you don't want that to happen, make sure you make those small monthly charges. You want to minimize credit cycling. Credit cycling is when you charge the card up to the credit limit, pay it all off, and then charge it again up to the credit limit. But you're doing that within the same billing cycle. This is something you'll want to avoid. Doing it once, I think, is okay, but I wouldn't make it a habit. This will flag you as high risk for the bank. And then another tip is to not open cards with the same bank every 30 days. This can make the bank see you as a higher risk. So it's a good idea to space out your credit card applications. Maybe 3 to 6 months or longer, so the banks don't think that you're crazy.
Or desperate.
Or scary.
I think that's what got me in trouble with Chase.
Too many inks.
Too many inks. I got to go back and make sure I put spending on a couple of them. Like I got one in the summer, and I think that was like Prime Day with Amazon. They had like a special thing going on, and I bought lots of stuff then, and I haven't used the card since. So maybe I should put some more spend on that card.
So I like the point that you bring up, Serena, about always putting a little bit of charges on these cards, because I got a couple of these Citi double cash cards, and let's be honest, I haven't spent on them in quite a while. So it's interesting because I got this email from Citi and they said, you need to spend on this card within the next 30 days or we're going to close this account for you, which I thought was kind of kind because they sent it to me in an email, because I had this recently happen with Chase too, but they sent me a letter, or maybe they did send me an email and I didn't see it, but they closed down a Chase Freedom that we had. It was a really old one and it got closed. And I was a little sad that I missed that letter because we have a box of mail here at our house that I just can't be bothered to go through and sort. So, you're right. You got to put these little charges on these cards or they're going to close them. And it's important for the longevity of your credit report and your score that you keep these accounts that you've had open for a long time.
So now you're down to only 25 cards, Mitch?
Something like that. A couple of these Citi double cash cards. I need to keep them open. I've had them open for a while. So got to get on that in the next 30 days.
Yeah, my wife's Chase Freedom was also just shut down. And I didn't notice until I logged into her account and it says the account was closed. I'm like, she might have gotten an email about it, but I don't check her email. So I don't monitor that. And we didn't get a heads up, or I didn't get a heads up. But I also got one of my Target cards closed because I didn't use it in over a year. That was the cutoff for them to close it. So yeah, putting some charges on them definitely would help in not getting them closed and maybe perhaps shut down.
You want to talk about scary? There is nothing more scarier than logging into your Chase account and seeing one of your accounts closed and thinking you've been shut down. That's pretty scary.
Next up is another scary thing, but not as scary as shutdowns, in my opinion. This will be cancellations, delays, irregular operations, and ways that we can avoid it, or how to deal with it. So causes for cancellation and delays could be for many reasons: weather, mechanical issues, air traffic congestion, crew availability. The airline can come up with any reason, but there are things that you can do and be proactive about to take steps in advance to avoid being in a situation like this. First thing is to use the right credit card with embedded travel protection when you're booking your trip.
There are certain cards that have built-in travel protection. For example, like the Chase Sapphire Reserve, the Chase Sapphire Preferred, and even the Amex Platinum. Those are ones that I use when booking my trip in case something like this should happen.
I like using the Chase Sapphire Reserve because to me, that's a keeper card. I will keep that card forever or until further devaluation. But I don't like booking with my Amex Platinum anymore because I don't think that's a card that I might keep forever. If there's not a good retention offer, I might be canceling that. So why would I want to use that to pay for a trip for next year if I might not have that card anymore? I know I'm going to keep my Chase Sapphire Reserve for at least next year. If not, at least downgrade it to a Chase Sapphire Preferred. So that's the card that I use for all my trips from now on because I know that I'm going to keep that card, whether it's a reserve or preferred, and it has good travel protections.
I agree with you, Miguel, about the platinum card because I kind of struggle with that too myself. It's like, do I put it on there for the 5 times the points with the airlines, or do I go down the Chase Avenue? And what I do is actually like to use the Chase Ritz Marriott credit card. I like to put some of our travel charges on there because the protections that come on that card are just as good as what you're going to get on the Reserve or any of these other high-end Chase products. And what's even great is a lot of the times you can get them to reimburse some of that $300 travel credit you get for those taxes and fees, but you got to do that through the secure message. Yeah, I agree. I don't really put those charges on my American Express Platinum card.
Can I tell you something scary about that travel reimbursement? So again, me, following Miguel, upgraded to the Chase Sapphire Reserve. So my annual fee posted 2 weeks ago, and I was like, okay, now I get $300 that I can use on travel expenses. I put my flight for the meetup on there, put the return flight, and I'm noticing there's no reimbursement. I give it a week, nothing. I give it 2 weeks, nothing. So I called Chase and I asked them, I'm like, my annual fee posted. I understand that I have $300 worth of travel credit, but I'm not seeing the credit applied to my account. They're going to let me know, oh, thank you for your $550 fee, but you don't have access to that travel benefit until December. I don't know. The dude went into explaining. I was just like, all right, thank you. Bye. Like, how do you charge me for the annual fee, but then not give me the benefit of using it till a few months later?
Yeah, there's something weird with the timing because if you got the card, at a certain date, then it's based off of card member year. If not, it's based off of calendar year. Now, if you upgraded from a Chase Sapphire Preferred up to the Reserve, then your card member year might start when you got their Sapphire Preferred. I really don't understand it, but yeah, there are some nuances with the dating as far as your travel credit with a Chase Sapphire product.
Anybody out there experience it? I don't know. Miguel doesn't know. Can you let us know in the comments, what's the deal with paying the annual fee but not getting the benefit until a few months later? Let us know in the comments.
I like to use my Capital One Venture X credit card to pay for my travel purchases because that card also comes with embedded travel protection. You can also buy third-party travel protection, and we're going to talk more about that in our Ask Us segment. So other things you'll want to do is monitor your reservation days leading up to your departure date. You'll want to do what Mitch calls gardening or nursing your reservation and watching for issues. And airlines sometimes offer travel waivers during inclement weather and will allow you to change your flights for free. So you want to use tools like FlightAware, FlightRadar 24, or Flighty to monitor your flights ahead of time and the inbound aircraft. If your flight is delayed, you'll still want to go to the airport at the originally scheduled time because your flight could still end up leaving on time. And if you have any issues with delays or cancellations, the goal is to find a solution very quickly and to take initiative. I talked about in episode 58 where I needed to get to Miami and my flight was canceled. And I talked about the different methods I used in order to get rebooked on the flight that I wanted. So you could check that episode out if you want more information. But the key there was I paid access to get into an airline lounge in order to access an experienced rep who could help me. And then sometimes if you need to call an airline, you can't get through, you might want to call the international phone number for the airline. Sometimes you'll be able to reach an agent much quicker.
So in keeping with the theme of our show, scary things, something that really, really scares me, and I'm very conservative when I do this, is when I have 2 reservations on 2 separate tickets that, sometimes people will take positioning flights or whatever. There are some people that will literally give themselves like 2 or 3 hours ground connection time. That scares the holy crap out of me, and I don't know why they do that. For me, I at least, my minimum thing is if I'm flying on 2 tickets, I'm at least giving myself at least 8 hours to make that connection just because of those things. So what do you guys do? Do you risk it a little bit? What do you think about that?
I absolutely give myself lots of ground time.
It depends. I feel that if it's the same airline or at least the same alliance, I'm probably good with maybe 4 hours because I could tell them, hey, look, your partner is responsible for me being late and not catching this flight. But if it's Spirit or Frontier, yeah, you probably need a couple of days buffer.
On our trip back from the Olympics this summer, I don't know how I missed that, but our connection time from an international flight in Atlanta to a domestic flight was about an hour and 15 minutes.
Jeez.
Oh dear. How'd it go?
I didn't realize until I was on the flight from Paris to Atlanta that, we only have 70 minutes. We made it.
Because you're Team Carry On.
Yeah.
This
Probably because she's Team Carry-On and Global Entry.
The global entry helped for sure. But then when you have to go back in to check in, there's no TSA pre-check between the international and the domestic gate. And this has happened to me twice. Atlanta needs to do much better than that. It's one line, just, not two separate lines. It's one line, one scanner for all the people coming off the flight. Do better, ATL.
Okay, so just yesterday, I flew on Turkish business class from Istanbul into Denver. And then I had a Southwest flight from Denver back to SFO. And I made sure I had 6 hours of layover time. I could have booked an earlier flight on Southwest to come back home, but I wanted to give myself enough time to get my luggage, recheck it, hang out in the lounges. And you know what? With 2 great lounges in Denver, time flew by.
So you're talking about the Centurion and the Capital One, correct?
I am.
You took the tour of Denver.
I did. The time totally flew by. Do your research and make sure you have lounges to hang out in, We did have to wait around a little bit to be able to check our bag for Southwest because they only let you check your bag 4 hours before flight time. So there was just a little bit of wait time, but then after that, the time flew by.
The good thing about Denver is that you have the Centurion Lounge in the same terminal that you fly Southwest from. So that kind of works out.
And it closed later. So our flight was at 11 p.m., I think. Capital One closed at 9. Centurion closed at 10. So it was perfect.
So the other thing that you could do, Serena, and I don't think Southwest does this, but there's this thing, it's called interline your bags. So we've done this ourselves when we're flying on separate reservations is when you go to check in, you have to ask the agents if they have an interline agreement with the other airline that you're going to be traveling on. So for example, say you're coming in from Qatar, from Doha to New York, and you're going to continue on American Airlines from New York to LA, but it's a completely separate ticket and it's a completely different reservation. Most of the time, they have the ability to check your bag all the way through on a different reservation. We even did this, Miguel, thanks to you, when we were in Singapore and we were going home from Singapore all the way back to Los Angeles. Singapore to New Delhi was on Singapore Airlines, which they're not even partners with American Airlines or British, and that's who we were flying out of on New Delhi. But the agents were fantastic and fabulous. They were able to check our bag all the way through to Los Angeles, and they give us the claim ticket, and it's like 2 pages long, but they can do it. So that's an option for you if you are going to be traveling on 2 reservations.
Yeah, I was honestly surprised because when I checked in to Singapore Airlines, the first class check-in there, I had a separate reservation on American Airlines and they printed my American Airlines boarding pass. Like you said, they're not even partners. So yeah, that's kind of weird. So there's a lot of this stuff that you don't know until you kind of experience it and then you learn and you hear from your friends and family about what you can do. But yeah, that's pretty cool.
So Mitch, when I was checking into my business class flight in Doha, I think I was too embarrassed to ask if they would interline my bag to Southwest.
I'm done with you. Unplug the cameras. I'm done.
Southwest who? Southwest, huh?
Brother,
It's too embarrassing.
They might not have even heard of Southwest up in Doha.
Exactly.
It's embarrassing when Serena is willing to go all the way out from when you come into customs, go all the way out, get her checked bag, go all the way around to the check-in counter and recheck her bag in. That's when you know it truly is an embarrassing situation and not to do it.
Truly.
I don't have that kind of shame. I have 0 F's to give.
But do you think Southwest has any interline agreements?
You will never know. You never asked.
Yeah, exactly.
I will try to be braver next time. I did think about it though at the time, but the situation in Doha was very weird because I had just come in on a Qatar flight, but I was changing to a Turkish business class flight. I thought I had to exit Doha, get my bags and recheck in. Turns out Qatar has a transfer desk. They had someone go get my bag and put it on the Turkish plane and checked in for my Turkish flight for me. All I had to do was wait there. So that was really nice. They had runners. They had someone bring my boarding pass over to me. Great service in Doha.
Chew, did you hear that? Great service in Doha.
So I couldn't add in at the same time, I'm taking Southwest all the way to SFO. Can you interline my bag too?
If it's like a one world carrier to another one world carrier, it's probably like 95% chance that they can do it. If you're going with another major carrier like United to American, odds are they can do it. But when you're going from Qatar to Southwest,
To Qatar to JetBlue? How about JetBlue?
You know what? Yeah, probably. You could probably get it with JetBlue. Yeah.
I'll report back. I'm not embarrassed, Serena.
Please ask for us, Nicole.
But then the thing is, I'm worried. What if they lose my bag and I buy all this stuff?
Nicole, you're not checking bags anyway. What are you talking about?
What are you buying, Nicole?
Mitch told me I need to get these suitcases in Thailand. My kids want to go shopping, so I'm willing to risk it for the biscuit.
That's an off-podcast discussion
back.
about these bags. So things that we've learned over the years, probably one of the greatest lessons I learned was during COVID, because what had happened was we had these tickets booked on Air France, and it was a really cheap business class fare that we had bought on Air France. And of course, COVID shut the world down, and they never canceled our tickets right away, but we knew it was coming. It was kind of like this cat and mouse game of what's going to happen. Well, we knew they were going to cancel it. So they ended up canceling our tickets, and they canceled them. And they wanted to give us vouchers. And I'm like, I don't want a voucher. It's COVID. I don't know when we're going to be able to travel again on Air France. And what I paid for this flight, I'm not going to be able to pay for this ever again. So I did a little research. I dug and I found out about the Department of Transportation. And one of the best things that you can do is when you have these type of situations happen. So if you have a cancellation for a flight and it's mechanical, you have some other thing that happens where it is the airline's fault and you are getting nowhere with their customer service, you want to go down the road. It's like the last possible thing you want to do is file a complaint with the Department of Transportation. And what they can do is they have direct contacts with those airlines, with the customer service agents that can make decisions and have the ability to fix things. So what had happened for us is I had filed my complaint with the Department of Transportation with Air France. And about 3 weeks later, we get this email back from Air France apologizing. Oh, I am so sorry. Yes, we are going to give you a refund. You do not have to take a voucher. So it was great with the resolution that I had from that, filing that complaint, because Air France, all the customer service agents I got, they were always, no, you're going to get a voucher. That's the way it is. So that is one avenue that you can take. Now, if you're not sure about like what you are able to get or what really qualifies for this, something to check is the U.S. Department of Transportation dashboard. And what this does is it shows you actually what you are entitled to, because over the years, they've really come down on these airlines, forcing them with some rules and regulations. So for example, if you push back from the gate and it's like more than an hour, they're required to come through with water and snacks for you. There are rules, and the Department of Transportation lists those on the website. It's a really good resource that you need to have when you are flying these airlines that can really help you out knowing what your rights are as a passenger, because when you do travel, you do have rights when you fly on the airlines.
That is one thing that Europe has better than the US, and they have this regulation called EU261. But pretty much what this does is if you have some type of delay or cancellation that is caused by the airline, you are entitled to compensation. Amount that you're compensated varies depending on what airline you're flying, whether you're flying in and out of Europe or within Europe, and also how long that flight was. But I've actually gotten compensated twice from cancellations or delays on my flights. So one time my flight was delayed overnight, so pretty much canceled and rebooked for the following day. And I actually got compensated €600 for this flight, and I paid less than that for the flight. So it's like I had a free flight home because I submitted this complaint for EU261. So if you're flying in or out of Europe and you have some type of delay or cancellation, just Google EU Regulation 261 and you should be able to do some research and find out whether or not you're entitled to this. Now, there are a lot of websites out there, a lot of companies that would charge you a fee to submit this claim, but you don't have to pay these companies. You could just Google EU 261 and the airline that you're flying, and they should have some type of customer service or complaints website where you could submit this and you might be entitled to compensation. I sound like a commercial. Hey, but it works. You know, I've gotten €600 twice from this regulation because of delays or cancellation. So it works.
So how easy was it for you, Miguel, dealing with the airlines? Because sometimes I hear people have to fight with them to get them to do EU261, and sometimes it's a breeze. So how was it for you?
67% approval. That means that I've had 3 cancellations and 2 of them were approved. One of them was not approved. That was United Airlines flying out of Frankfurt into Houston. And the second flight from Houston to El Paso, that's the one that was canceled. According to the terms that I read, I should have been entitled. And I sent all these emails and they're like, no, the main Europe flight wasn't canceled. But I think they should have paid me, but they didn't. So I guess my record is 2 out of 3 that it's worked out. So
pretty good odds.
So just remember, in order to file claims, you want to keep good records, save all those stubs, save all your receipts so that you have all the information ready when you're ready to file a claim.
Well, it seems we've had a little costume change next to me. I think I need to do a new security scan here. We have a new character here. What's going on, Nicole?
Sam, I fly for free.
We must scan you, and we must scan the hand. We got to scan Miguel's hand too, right? Why do we got to scan Miguel's hand?
Sign up for a weekly newsletter. Do you like to fly for free? I do. Oh, yes, indeed. Then earn some points. That's not too hard. Just get a rewards card. Can I use these miles for planes? Yes, and trains and stays and gains. Hotels, upgrades, and trips galore. With miles and points, you'll see much more. So would you like to learn the tricks? Start today and earn them quick. Sam, I fly for free. You can too. Just follow me.
That's awesome.
Right. If you want to get the latest tips when it comes to flights, hotels, any kind of travel deals, you want to sign up for a newsletter. I mean, don't you want to be cat in the hat? Scan Miguel's hand and join our newsletter. And if you're listening to us, check the show notes below for the link to our newsletter.
So a few more tips to avoid these problems. Try to book the earliest flight in the day. These early morning flights are less likely to have any cancellations or delays. You'll want to aim for those flights to reduce the risk of any problems. Also, you might want to consider booking backup flights. You can consider booking a backup flight with an airline that doesn't charge a cancellation fee. That is another way to protect yourself if the flight that you're originally booked on is canceled or delayed. But one warning note, you might want to book that backup flight on a different airline just in case.
Yeah, I had that happen to me once. I had a flight with United and I booked another flight with United. And because they were both on the same day, United actually canceled one of my flights. So the other flight I had to book with a different carrier because it kept canceling automatically.
We have offered some tips during the show, but we know that you have good tips out there too, whether to deal with any of these issues or to avoid any of these issues. Let us know in the comments below if you have any tips for us and to share with other viewers. We would really appreciate it. Next up is Ask Us.
Hi everyone. It was nice meeting you at the Chicago meetup. I'm very happy you all were able to host a very nice Miles Points travel event. That was my very first one. So I've been thinking since I left of a question and I just wanted to hear your take. So I know that we all already have a lot of travel cards that we utilize, and a lot of them come with protections. Now, my question is, has there been a scenario involving any of the previous trips you've planned where the travel protections on these cards has not been enough and you found that you've had to utilize a different travel insurance package which you've previously purchased? I found myself in a situation like that last year where after a 9-hour delay, and so I utilized my travel insurance, which I tend to purchase. I would just love to know because I tend to be overly cautious. So thanks again for everything you all do, and I look forward to the episodes on Fridays. Okay, thanks so much again. Have a great day. Bye.
Bizu, it was so fun to meet you in Chicago, and we hope that we get to see you again at one of our future meetups too. So I talked to Bizu about this travel issue that she was facing, and it turns out that she was delayed for 9 hours, and she bought her trip with the Chase Sapphire Reserve card, and she also has supplemental insurance with Allianz. She has the Allianz annual plan as well, and she decided to file with Allianz because Chase gave her the runaround, and she submitted $900 in claims and got paid back the next day from Allianz. Chase would have been a big hassle for her. So this might be something for you guys to consider. So I personally have the Allianz All Trips Premier plan for my family, and the cost is $485 per year for the 6 of us. That's me, my husband, my 2 children, and my parents who are in their 70s. I mostly get travel insurance that's separate from credit card benefits to cover medical costs because I have aging parents and I also have a very accident-prone child. So this past June when we were on our Icon of the Seas cruise, best cruise of my life, my daughter got hurt on the water slide. We had to take her to the medical facility on board the ship. She got an x-ray, a sling, some ibuprofen. Total out-of-pocket cost was $514. I submitted all the documentation to Allianz and got paid back in a week, and it was a very easy process. And because of this and other claims that I've submitted in the past, I will continue to purchase this plan year after year as long as we're traveling because I have good experience with it. Also provides comfort, like Bizu said, to have that supplemental insurance that helps to cover other things that the credit card companies will not cover, like medical.
Serena, I really like that you mentioned comfort because this is what we did about 60 years ago, pre-COVID. Polrit, my husband, not at the time, still now, and our family and his mother, his brother, his Aunt Peggy, we took a month of our lives off and we decided to go live and stay in Southeast Asia for that whole month. Probably one of the best trips that we've ever had. We really enjoyed taking a month off of our lives, living abroad. It was great. Highly recommend it. As we were starting to plan the trip out, we thought it would be really smart or important to get some additional insurance just to cover us. We felt comfortable, with the travel coverage we got from the credit cards, but we'd never really been out of the country that long and we wanted some additional protections, anything for the trip in case something went wrong. So after a lot of rabbit holes and research, I came across InsureMyTrip.com. They had everything we were looking for at affordable prices as well, gave us medical, travel coverage, and it had accidental death and dismemberment policy that came with it too. At the time, it was a very affordable deal for us. Now, this was pre-COVID. We paid $126 for the 5 of us for this Preferred Plus plan. We didn't need to use any of it, but it was nice having that peace of mind with that additional coverage in place where the credit cards might fall a little short. Now, as I was looking over this policy we got before our show tonight, I noticed it didn't have a cute paramedic clause in the policy. However, it did come with medevac helicopter evacuation. So Nicole, I'm not sure how you get that cute paramedic added to the policy. I'm hoping that you might have some insight on how to get that added.
Well, you have to pay for that insurance with your American Express Platinum card. Bizu, thank you for your question. It was a pleasure meeting another Jamaican at the meetup. I hope we get to see you at our meetup on December 7th in LA. Now, here are some other options for protecting your trip. When you're purchasing your flight and upon checkout, you usually have an option to add a protection aspect to your trip. It's usually by the company Allianz that Serena referred to earlier, but you can pay a minimal fee for any trip cancellation or interruption of your trip, and it usually is based on the amount you paid for your ticket. So I've seen it range from anywhere from $16 up to $40 per person. So this is a great option if you are not using a travel card that has travel protection or you don't have an annual plan.
Hi, Bizu. It was great meeting you in Chicago, and I hope we do see you in LA as well. So I have never really paid for insurance, but I really want to get into that because it would just give me more peace of mind. But what I have gone through is delayed baggage. And even though Chase tells you that they have delayed baggage protection, I've never had to use it because what Chase will want you to do, or maybe these other credit cards, is that they want you to do the claim through the airline first. Now, I've had 3 cases of delayed baggage. That's been with United, Lufthansa, and Alaska Airlines, and each time the airline has taken care of me, which means that there was no need for me to make a claim with Chase. So I don't know how the claim process worked with Chase because each time the airline has just reimbursed me for my out-of-pocket expenses for incidentals and anything else that I needed because my baggage was delayed. For those of you who have booked trips and not used one of these cards, it's still worth it to try to get a claim reimbursement directly through the airline because a lot of times they're just going to honor it because if it was their fault that your baggage was delayed and you had to purchase something out of pocket, they might still reimburse you for that. So I would just go that route as well.
So I mentioned earlier how I get the supplemental insurance just to cover mostly medical for my family. Surprisingly, some of these cards that we own do have a little bit of a medical benefit. So let's run through those now. The Chase Sapphire Reserve has an emergency medical benefit. If you're 100 miles or more from your home on a trip, you can be reimbursed up to $2,500 for medical expenses if you or your immediate family member becomes sick or injured. Some people may not feel like $2,500 is enough, and you never know how much hospital bills will end up being. So if you want to be more cautious, maybe getting a separate plan in this case would be a good idea. It's important to note that the Chase Sapphire Preferred does not have this benefit. The American Express Platinum, which Nicole knows very well because she wants to be medevaced off Mount Kilimanjaro from acute paramedic. Something to note about this is this benefit will get you to the closest adequate medical facility that can treat you. It does not mean they're going to take you all the way back home. So if you want coverage to evacuate back to your hospital of choice, you should probably get separate coverage for that. And then the Capital One Venture X does not have any emergency medical benefit. So that's just a quick rundown of the medical benefits offered by some premium cards out there. Evaluate all of them, look at your options, maybe consider having separate insurance for more peace of mind for you and your family when you travel.
Great question, Vizu. Thank you so much. And we want you on our show. Just visit our website, letsgettothepoints.com, and click on subscribe. And there you can send us your video question. That's it for now. I want to thank all of our very scary hosts. You can look for her at your next Grand Hyatt Taipei. It's Scary Serena.
Bye, everyone. May the ghosts not haunt you there.
He makes sure that your bags are never lost. It's Miguel.
Later.
And Nicole, I got to ask, do you got any extra bonus points in that hat?
No.
And I'm Shannon. Make sure you sign up for our email newsletter. Just snap the QR code right now on your screen for the latest and everything going on in the Points and Miles world. And we're going to see you here next Friday. Thank you for watching and listening.
Wait, so that's a real knife?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was part of the costume. It was a plastic knife.
It was abrupt.
Let's get to the points.com.